sheet specifications and item templates and key names. The flexibility of the A Label program requires that you first become familiar with three concepts. A label sheet specification is a set of parameters that describe the physical layout of the labels that are typically found on a sheet of labels. As an example of how we define sheet specifications, we can just click the lower toolbar button with the caption Sheet Information. This brings up a dialog box for editing the current sheet specification information. Here you can see all the parameters that make up a sheet specification. The most important parameters are the individual width and height of labels, the left and top page margins, the spacing between columns and rows, and the number of rows and the number of columns, and the width and height of the entire sheet. The default sheet consists of 2 columns and 5 rows of labels, where each label is 4 inches wide by 2 inches high. The list box in the upper left corner of the dialog contains a small list of what are called manufacturer's names. We can click on another typical label sheet like an HV02SheetSpecs.mp4 that looks like the following. In the right side of the window, we now see 3 columns and 10 rows where each individual label measures 2.625 inches wide by 1 inch high. Each time you click on a manufacturer's name, the program will automatically load and display the corresponding sheet layout information. At any particular point in time, the A Label program always holds exactly 1 sheet specification. Another button allows you to access a database that contains the sheet specifications for about 7,000 different sheets of labels. These are organized by the manufacturer names and product line numbers. You should have little difficulty finding a sheet specification that meets your needs. When the database cursor points to a particular row in this table, you can click the button with the caption, apply the selected sheet specifications, and the program will close down the database list and it will automatically enter all the sheet specification information for you. You can sort this large list on any column by simply clicking the yellow header for the column. For example, we can sort by either manufacturer name or manufacturer number. If you know the manufacturer's item number, you can click the button with the caption, Find using the manufacturer number, and the program will prompt you to enter a number. For example, we will enter the number 8662. Notice how the program has found the HV8662 label, and if we now press the button to apply the selected sheet specifications, we are back in the sheet specifications dialog where all the information has automatically been entered for us. The list box in the upper left corner only contains a small number of popular sheet specifications, and all you need to do is click on any manufacturer name or item in this list to cause the program to again switch to a new sheet specification. You cannot directly edit the names in this simple list, nor can you delete names from this list. The program automatically populates this short list. To add a name to the list, you can press the button to Save Label Sheet Information. When you do, the program will give you the opportunity to type any name you like. In fact, manufacturer names in this list don't have to be real manufacturer's names. You may note that a few of the manufacturer names are just descriptions, like 8-point portrait 8.5 by 11 that represents a full sheet of paper with only one column and one row. We are now going to go back to reselect the default sheet specification for an HV02SheetSpecs.mp4 label. When you click the OK button to close the sheet information dialog box, you will see a single label that represents the active sheet specification. The white background that represents a single label will have the exact size given in the sheet specification. The title at the top of the program window will show the manufactured name, and it will show the row and column dimensions in terms of the number of labels. In this case, we can see the name HV02SheetSpecs.mp4 that has 5 rows and 2 columns of labels. Next, we will discuss another concept called an items template. Now that you have seen a sheet specification, we can contrast that with an items template. While a sheet specification is concerned with the layout of the labels on a sheet, an items template is concerned with the layout of the individual objects that get placed on a single label. A sheet specification has nothing at all to do with the content that gets printed on a label. That is the role of an items template. We use the term template because usually the A-label program is used to print a series of labels that all have the same design pattern, usually using different data on each label. As an example, suppose you wanted to print a series of address labels for a Christmas card list. A typical label might look like the following. You are now looking at what we call an items template. This is a design pattern for a particular type of label, in this case an address label. The items you see in the template are strings that will get replaced by real data when we get our name and address list from a database. What you are seeing could also be actual data that gets printed, especially if you only printed one label. You can edit the data in any items template to change the strings you see on the screen. As an example of a different kind of items template, you can now see the design pattern for a folder label. Once you have made a particular label design for an items template for a single label, you can save that design in what we call an items template file. In general, items template files can be used independent of any particular sheet specification, and for good reason. Suppose you were going to use the same database name and address list to make labels for addressing both small postcards and large boxes. You might want to use the same items template design for printing small postcard labels as for printing larger labels on boxes. In that case, you would load one sheet specification when printing the small postcard labels, and then load another sheet specification for printing large box labels. But the items template would not necessarily change just because the background sheet and label size changed. In most applications, you will want to tie the sheet and template concepts together to make a unique label design. When that is done, we will associate what we call a key name with both a sheet specification and an items template. Think of using key names in this case more like naming documents with a word processor. An items template is not a complete document unless it is automatically tied to a sheet specification. When you save an items template, you must give it what we call a key name, and you have the option to tie in a sheet specification. If we were to save the current template, we will first be prompted with a dialog in which we could enter the template key name as my first example. We would also always want to check the checkbox to save the sheet specification information. When you click the button to save the template, the program will automatically type in the suggested items template file name for you. In this example, it is my first example, items template.txt. Whenever you save an items template, the program will form the final file name by first using the key name, and it will automatically finish that name with the two words items template, and it will make the text file type. We suggest you always follow this file naming convention. Later, the program will identify your design by the key name only. Thus, using key names are essential. The basic rule is that each distinct label design be given a unique key name. Using key names like this will greatly simplify your work. To summarize our file naming conventions, we recommend using short phrases without spaces for key names, and we recommend ending template file names with the words items template.txt. This concludes the help video that has introduced the three concepts called sheet specifications and item templates and key names.